Hello and welcome to the session where we are describing our student central component and the project associated with automating the advice to students. So this is the interface that a student sees after logging in. And we can see here the name and student number are hashed, of course, for the purpose of this presentation. So this is a real student, and this is the type of advice that is rendered to the student. So up top below the student information and name, it tells the student what class of degree they are currently on track to graduate with. And it explains that it's worked out the class of degree based on the credit weighted average. And it also explains to the student that if they want to reach the higher class of degree, this is what they need to accomplish in the current semester and in the future assessments. So this does a couple of things, we think. Number one, it encourages the students that instead of aiming just to pass or just to graduate, that they also concern themselves with graduating with a higher class of degree. So to raise the aspiration from just passing and jumping over hurdles to actually performing well. So that's the first aspect of implicit advising. And then the second aspect is to provide specific information towards accomplishing this goal. So the system has picked up that the student is currently registered for these classes, and it's explaining what average the student needs to accomplish in the remaining assessments in order to graduate with that higher class of degree. So it's not just giving us an overall goal, it's also explaining specifically how the performance needs to go in the current semester, and then improve my results. There's this tempting button here. The intention there is that you would go on to looking at your course content and practice materials and so on. So that links directly to your teaching and learning content, and you can see some of such content appearing here. And if you go into some of these other aspects like study planner and so on, you can see how to look into that. But just for now, we are describing this overall sense of advising. So in this project, that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to generate accurate advice to students about their progression. And towards that, it should be noted, this happens in a closed loop. So the student logs into the system, they get advice about their own progression, and that's it. There's no disclosure of any of this information to an outside party. So all this stays in a closed loop between the institution and the student. This advice is all auto-generated. So of course, the next step might be that a student may approach a counselor towards accomplishing these goals. But that then is a separate process. There, the student can decide how much to disclose to the counselor and so on. But in terms of this project and its automated advising, there's no sharing of information with an outside party. This is all between the student and the institution. Also in the study, we are looking to correlate the results of this advising. So we try different forms of advising and look at correlating the student performance with different types of advising. And there also, we are not looking at any individual students. We are always measuring aggregate data. So what is the average change in the student mean when we apply this form of advising as opposed to some other form of advising? So, so there is no data about individual students. We may look at just overall trends in the data, the shifts in averages and so on. And there also, we don't specify any academic program or any module in particular. So all the data is quite aggregated and quite anonymized. So we hope that clarifies the position in terms of the data sharing, or in this case, the not sharing of any data. And that eases the way forward in participating in the research program. Thanks for listening.